This is Madhavi from Pakistan, and you're watching my YouTube channel Insani Itihad, which aims to invoke a little bit of humanity in all of us through awareness and understanding. So it's been a long while since I have last posted my video. Well, the reason was I am actually preparing, like everyone knows, I'm actually preparing to go to move out of Pakistan and go to the US for my conversion and everything. So in the summer, I would be preparing for my visa interview, and hopefully I will be getting the visa. Fingers crossed. And Bazarat Hashem will start to see what are my options and how I can, permanently move to US as an immigrant or whatever the option. So yeah, I was focused on things to know beforehand in regards to, my legal procedures and legal requirements in the US. The United States doesn't have a constitution, but I wanted to know about what laws are there for, new immigrants and what requirements they have to fulfill, like, how to get a health insurance, how to get a place rented, and how everything. I mean, how does the real estate agents work, the costing and everything. So I was pretty much focused on that, and also preparing for my interview. And also I kind of felt that probably it's not safe for me to put up videos and discuss current affair issues, just to have this smooth and safe journey and transition to another country, and just be safe and alive up till I get to the US. My sister was actually telling me, both my sister and my brother were telling me to not post and talk about things. I think before a year or so, that I should just learn about Judaism and everything, and prepare myself for moving out of Pakistan. And when I'm once out of Pakistan, then I would start making these videos and discuss these topics. But I am me, so obviously I couldn't resist. And since the issue that I'm going to discuss is regarding Israel, and I just cannot stop my passion and love for Israel, and also the protest and this dilemma, this deadlock of whether to have the judicial reforms or not to have judicial reform, the right versus left, the narrative and stance, protest, and then in between there was this brutal, deadly terror attack in Dresdendorf Street in Tel Aviv. And unfortunately, this is the street which has seen terror attacks multiple times in the history. Even in the recent, last year, I think 2021, there was a terror attack, and it has been a constant target for the Palestinian Arab terrorists to target this area, and have shootings and blasts and everything in the past. So I wanted to have my opinion, though my opinion is not. Who wants to know my opinion? And to be honest, as a wannabe Jewish convert and not yet a convert to Judaism, I don't even feel that I'm entitled to have an opinion. But then again, I wanted to have this clarity in regards to express what I feel about this whole episode. So for me, I see the left side seeing into this thing as, they're concerned about if an autonomous, unbiased, independent institution like judiciary and the courts, the Israeli courts, if they are put under the government or under the Knesset in terms of appointments or completely disapproving the verdicts, or having overturn the decisions of the Supreme Court, would actually create some sort of insecurity between the citizens, and it will also jeopardize the unbiasedness and neutrality of the institution itself. The faith the citizens put in these institutions, that they will go to these institutions like Supreme Court or High Court, whatever, and then they can have justice served to them, even if they are going against the government or against any establishment, operators. They would be heard fairly and would be given verdict in favor if they prove to be on the right side. So the neutrality of this institution was challenged, and the left strongly feels that the balance of power would go into the Knesset and the political parties, and this will actually, in the future, near future, or the coming future, or late future, would actually have negative effect on society. Just imagine, Nazi party, and Hitler was also an electorate. They were elected by, this party was a political party, and it got elected by the vote of the, people, the German people, and they came in power, and they brought all sorts of, crazy legislation and crazy new rules, and and there was no institution stopping them for discriminating an entire community, entire race, not just in their own country, but going into war and taking that agenda of anti-Semitism to the entire continent. So yes, the left is very, very concerned about disturbing a setup where the citizens have faith in not only in the state and and Israel doesn't have a constitution, but they have a faith in the institution, whether it's the political institution of Knesset, or the judiciary, or the social institutions of education and health, and the socio-economics, the setup of society. So their concern is valid, because you cannot make amendments to these institutions which have a strong ground, and they are for the benefits of all people, not just the Palestinians, not just the Israelis, or not just the people who are atheist and agnostic or whatever, or just call themselves humans, like Noel Harari. But nothing against, I never like him. So that sort of thing. And they also, some of the community members also feel that once they are able to do these reforms in judiciary, the next thing would be barring people having choices which are unconventional, like gay marriages, or identifying themselves as gay or lesbians or whatever. So they feel threatened, because it's not going to stop here. And historically, like I said, if you see the Nazi party, they started with one reform and two reforms, and then they got elected, and they executed the agenda that they were voted for, which was a very rightist and very very autocratic sort of a system, which kind of benefited one group over the rest of the groups of the society. So their concerns are these. On the other hand, the right feels that the state of Israel is becoming too weak, especially in terms of protecting the Jewish citizens. And it all started with two young boys who were unarmed, who were civilians, who were not even actually, who were not like historically, they made aliyah from the United States. Their entire family made an aliyah from the US, and they started to live in Eretz Israel, in Yerushalayim, in the settlements, and probably, for them, see, for the rightist narrative, I would say, I associate and identify myself as a righteous person. I'm a religious person, and for me, Eretz Israel symbolizes the ultimate religious, identity, and a home, a religious, spiritual home, where my Judaism and me being Jewish is the most safe and feels the most home like. And imagine this family must have given all their savings, all their careers, and all their life in the US, and they decided that we're going to go to we were going to go to Eretz Israel, and we're going to start a more religious, more Jewish life in the most holiest place for the Jews in the world. And they moved to Eretz Israel, and then they have two losses, not one losses, but two losses. Two of their family members, their sons, their brothers, their grandchildren, are brutally killed just for being Jewish. They were not firing at any Palestinian, or they were murdered just because they wanted more Jewish lives in a more Jewish place. And some people thought that no, this is not a Jewish land, and this is our land, and this and that. And they, just killed them for making an aliyah and making, being a Jewish person, and wanted to start a more Jewish way of life. And when you look at diaspora Jewish communities, a huge rise in anti-Semitism in diaspora communities of where Jews live, whether it's UK, EU countries, or US. So Jews are not very much welcomed, or they cannot express their Jewishness as much as they can in Eretz Israel. But then again, security is a big issue. More people moving into Eretz Israel would prefer, and especially the ones who want to be religious, or who want to have this religious spiritual awakening, be fed and be met in Eretz Israel, would not move into Tel Aviv. They would probably go to Jerusalem, or Judea and Samaria, or Hebron, all these areas which are a bit, in the front of the conflict. And the government and the political parties who are at the rightist side of the political spectrum feel that they have failed their voter, or their people who vote them and bring them into power, who are rightist, that they have failed them in terms of protecting them in the one and only Jewish state. And if a religious Jew is not safe in Eretz Israel, where would a religious Jew then move for having a more Jewish life on this planet? Because diaspora is getting dangerous. They're not safe in Eretz Israel. Then they start to question the very point of what was the reason, and why was the reason Eretz Israel was declared independent Jewish state in the first place, if it can't protect Jewish people who want to identify and practice their Jewish faith and live their Jewish lives. So it is very difficult for the government not to go with these judicial reform, because they want to do and make sure to input any measures to make sure that the Jewish lives are protected and safe, especially in the areas of Judea and Samaria, aka West Bank, or the problematic areas. So Jews living in Hebron, Jews living in Jerusalem, East Jerusalem, need to feel safe, and they demand that safety from the government, from the state of Israel, that they should provide it. And then the government says that we have limitations, that there are certain things that we can do, there are certain there are certain implementations, or there are certain decisions that we can make, and there are certain decisions that we cannot make due to restriction from the restriction from within, from the left, and the institution, the court system, the judiciary, and the civil societies, pressuring to not have more hardline measures to make sure the Jewish communities are safer in these conflicting areas. And then of course there is this international pressure as well. But for a government to choose between
the safety of its people, safety of the Jews, to having a more acceptable social setup for the people who are irreligious and people, because you see then the argument of the rightist is that the irreligious people are very much acceptable in the diaspora Jewish communities. American Jews, a Jew can live in America a very secular or a minimalistic, religious life in America and have no threat whatsoever. I mean, ask Dr. Zachary Foster. Sorry, I'm mentioning, but he is way much more acceptable because he's this. I don't know if he's religious. Maybe he is, but he is on the left spectrum of political narrative. So therefore, he's acceptable for the Americans and non-Jews and especially Palestinians. But somebody who is very religious, who's very Zionist, and then Zionism is part of the religiousness of a Jew, then it is very difficult. It becomes very difficult for a Jew to. I mean, my cliche is that I'm a Pakistani Muslim convert from Islam and a Pakistani. So for me, it's a dilemma that I can't move to Eretz Israel. So for me, living in the US is the next best thing that I can be religious as much as I can be. But we need to understand from that point of view that people who are dying, their families feel insecure, their families feel that the state of Israel need to protect them after 75, 74 years. I mean, this is what they have put their stakes for. They invest in the idea of Jewish state, Zionism. They have invested not just with monetary contributions, but they have given blood, they have given their family members, they have created this one home only solely for one purpose, that the Jewish lives are safe and protected in this place on earth. And if this is the bare minimum which the Israeli government can't provide them, they feel insecure, they feel hurt, they also feel agitated. So both the left and right need to understand and sit down and talk about these real issues. The problem is the Palestinian radicalism, the Palestinian terrorism, the Palestinian illegitimate demand of having a state within a tiny little Jewish state, which is not even catering to the Jewish communities needs to have to provide basic social securities and land and everything. So we need to find a solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And if we are not, we don't have that daring to resolve that issue, then we would have these sort of issues: reforms, no reforms, this government, that government, this election, that election, left versus right, right versus. I mean, these are symptoms which are sprouting out from this cancer of Israel-Palestine conflict, which is getting deeper and filthier, and it is ruining the body. So we need to operate a surgery on that cancer and resolve this conflict once and for all. And people, lastly, my message and request and challenge would be to the leftist, rightist Jews, leftist, rightist Palestinians, all people living in the Eretz Israel. If you truly believe that there has to be coexistence between the Palestinian Arab Muslims or Palestinian Arab Christians and Israeli Jewish people living in Eretz Israel, here's the opportunity. This is a Ramzan. This month we are going on is Ramadan, and soon next month in the beginning of the first week, it's starting from 5th, I guess, Passover, Pesach will start. So Pesach and Ramadan are also coinciding. Let's take a pledge. Palestinian Arab Muslims and Palestinian Arab Christians and Jews, Israeli Jews, atheist, agnostic, whoever, religiously, whatever you associate yourself, but Jewish Israelis. If you truly believe in coexistence, let's make this Passover, let's make this entire month of Ramadan a month of peace with no protest, with no violence, just love and peace and coexistence. Historically, there has not been a single Ramadan where violence from the Palestinians has have not been erupted or initiated, and then in response from that violence, the Israeli government has put forth the security operators, security forces, and cut down to that that violence, whether there is a violent protest or a violent instant or incident on which then the Israeli security forces have looked out for the instigator or the violent protest or whatever. So historically, every single Ramadan has been a violent one or filled with violence, multiple violent attacks and clashes. But let's make this Ramadan, which also has Pisa coming in between, starting from 5th April to I think 14 April, yeah. So yeah, so let's make this great Ramadan an opportunity to show to the world and also show to each other, both the community, all the communities in Arab Israel, that yes, we can live in coexistence as peaceful, decent, educated people. And I truly believe if we can pull it off for a month, we can definitely pull it off for 6 months, then we can definitely pull it off for a year, then we can definitely pull it off for half a decade, then a decade. So take these slow and gradual targets to um, make sure that there is peace in Eretz Israel, and take it a challenge. See, especially the Arab Palestinian Muslims and the Arab Palestinian Christians and the Arab Palestinian whatever, the Druze and all those communities, everyone, Palestinian, Arab. Take this challenge as that here is a Pakistani evil girl with satanic vibes trying to, take these two great lovers apart, the Israelis and Palestinians. And we have to show this evil woman in Pakistan who is a wannabe Jew with satanic vibes. We need to show her that we can coexist. And this would be a peaceful land with Arabs and Palestinians, Arab Palestinians and Jewish Israelis living side by side with love and hugs and all the hummus and everything. So yeah, I mean, show this. I truly, deeply, truly, and honestly want to see at least one month. This holy month of Ramadan should be about peace rather than anything else. So I hope that both sides have the capacity to tolerate each other and love each other, especially the Arab Palestinian side, because I strongly feel that Arab Palestinian side is way much more less tolerant and accepting than the other side. But please prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Show that Palestinian Arab side is way much more, tolerant and peace loving and is so, into the love affair of Israel Palestine. So I hope to see a peaceful Ramadan. I, I I'm not fasting though, but I would definitely be, and this is my second year not observing a single fast of Ramadan. And Ramadan used to be my favorite month because I just love fasting. I do fast other, the Jewish fast, minor, major. So it's good. And I fast otherwise also because I just love fasting. But I'm so looking forward for my second Passover Seder. This will be the second year consecutive that I will be preparing a Seder. This time I will do a better job, of course, especially with the matzah. Yeah, so I'm so looking forward and wishing you all a very blessed and peaceful Ramadan. and a very, very blessed and peaceful Passover as well, in case I am not, able to wish, but I think I would probably make a video before Passover. So take care and thank you very much for watching.